Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third Champion Enablement Ask the Expert session. We're so excited that we've been able to get through our first two topics of communication and training and introducing ServiceNow to the enterprise, and that today we get to review program management. So as we've reviewed in our previous Ask the Expert sessions, this is what Champion Enablement looks like with our three sections, with it being very important for you with go live communication and training to drive adoption. Then we skipped over to introducing ServiceNow to the enterprise, allowing you to be a business partner with internal teams throughout your organization. And today we're going to talk about elevating your value to ensure the sustainable success of your implementation. So this is actually pulled from a deck that's going to be shared at Knowledge 17 in Orlando in a pre-conference session that's going to be done on Sunday and Monday. So if you haven't had a chance yet, please register for the Champion Enablement sessions so that we can go through a full day session with you on ensuring that you are driving that sustainable success through championship within your organization. So what we know about our organizations, me having been a customer for an extended period of time before joining the company 3 years ago, I've been involved in ServiceNow for almost 10 years. And as I was working on implementations, even though I'd been a customer for years, I never really knew if I was doing it right. Is what I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Technically, strategically? Am I bringing in the right people to have these conversations? I don't know. So what we focus on in the program management section of Champion Enablement is just that, ensuring that you're able to say, I'm doing this right, and here's why.
Pardon me, Britt. Can you really quickly pull in your presentation?
Pull in my
Yes, right now I'm seeing the thumbnails and it's kind of hard to see the slide.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.
There we go.
Well, there we go. Our audience is watching very well.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't want any of you to see the content that we're sharing. So you'll see here we've got a big cycle that includes all of our ServiceNow solutions. And then you'll notice this gray line and the gray circle are referring to our governance framework and best practices, which are what we're going to be reviewing today. So if I go out to the Champion Center, and remember to access that, all you have to do is hover over Resources, click on Champion Enablement, and then click to access. You'll see that there's a separate space here for program management. The best place to start is the Get Started guide, which will give you an overview of what's available within the section. But then we get very strategic and allow you to see if you're talking about what team you need, your portfolio strategy, your technical best practices. Here are direct links that will take you right to the content that's most appropriate for you. So a couple of things in this section that we're going to be looking at are models. They're white papers that you can use. And recently we've been adding in content that are templates that you can use to populate your own information. So over the last few years, Frank Slootman has said many times that tools are for fools. So it's April. Tools are for April Fools. And so we really feel that that's very accurate. We believe in Champion Enablement that when your organization gets started with ServiceNow, you're probably just using it in one or two areas of your organization. But we really think that you could go throughout your organization, as we did in the last session, introduce ServiceNow and really get yourself a solid plan, transitioning yourself from a tool to a program. And this is how we're going to get that done. So the very first piece of content we're going to look at is the program charter and management plan. Just going to open this up and I'll remember to zoom. One moment. So this is something that you can use to make sure that you're ready before your first meeting. You've got the right people to be engaged. You can add in here all the information you need. You can put all of this into your project application. And you can really get started with effective steering committees and reviews of what it is you're going to be doing. You can get into your risk analysis, impact analysis, and what dependencies are going to be affecting you. You'll notice that nothing in here is something that's going to be difficult for you to manage or to fit to your organization's needs. So it's important for you to be aware of the dependencies that are there. We've put this in Smart Art that you can modify however you would like. This is your document to make use of in any way that makes sense for you. You can also put your program level timeline in here so that you can show your executive leadership or your sponsor. These are the milestones that we plan on hitting. These are the things that we're focusing on as a ServiceNow program management group. And then make sure you've got the appropriate people involved in your program. Then we get into the governance and steering committee template, which goes a little bit deeper into the portion that was in the charter and management plan. That'll let you get very specific about the individuals, what they're going to be doing specifically for your program, and what their roles are going to be. So you can get this on paper and let people see these are the people that are going to be engaged. And then finally, we've got a standard meeting agenda in there that you can take advantage of. Again, modify it however you would like, but it'll allow you to have a solid base to move forward from so that you're not just responding to one-off questions. Instead, you're able to have a holistic plan and a strategy for the long term. Now, that doesn't mean that one-offs are unimportant. In my perfect development world, I'm at about 80% projects and 20% one-offs, because the things that your end users are going to find the most valuable generally aren't, to begin with, the huge projects you do. They asked you to add a checkbox onto a form, which was very easy for you to do, but sometimes takes you months to get to because you have so many projects on your plate. If you can balance that out and say for every 8 project points, I'm going to do 2 one-offs, people are going to get a lot of value out of just those little one-off situations. And that'll allow you to elevate yourself within your organization to display that value that when you ask for something, we are able to deliver, and we deliver efficiently. Then we get into our technical platform governance, the documents, the tools specific to how you should be governing your actual platform. So there's some fantastic white papers, upgrade best practices in here. When I first became a customer, we were told customize away, do whatever you want, and that's not incorrect. You can absolutely make this program do whatever you would like it to do. The platform is extensible. You can do anything. There are some guidelines, though. Don't modify an out-of-the-box UI page if there's going to be an update to the out-of-box version. Create a custom UI page and copy over that information. Don't build off of an out-of-box table. Instead, build a table extension, right? Those kinds of things are going to be listed out in the upgrade best practices to allow you to make sure that you're able to efficiently upgrade, whether it's from patch to patch or across family versions. We also have a fantastic developer tools comparison to say, when should I be using these specific tools? When is it appropriate for delegated development to be used? When is it appropriate to use team development, etc.? And then finally, we've got a link down here to the known error database that'll allow you to see all the problems that are being tracked in high and what a short-term workaround is, and then the long-term resolution, and finally, where that is actually fixed. Into strategic platform governance to help you with your execution for your strategies so you can have that sustainable project and program roadmap to allow you to develop over time. And then finally, we get into portfolio governance, which is a huge deal, making sure that your holistic program management is taking into account everything that you're going to need to be doing, excuse me, as an organization, rather than, again, just doing the one-off scenarios. However, the most important thing, or at least my favorite out here, is this ServiceNow Program Governance Framework Guide. Let's go ahead and open this up. I'm so excited, you're gonna love it. This document would have just absolutely changed my early ServiceNow customer years. I'm gonna zoom out actually just a little bit so you can see everything that's in here. So as you go through this document, just looking at the table of contents, you can see just how valuable the information in this document is. This was created with a combination of partners, Champion Enablement, and also our services organization, that this is the recommended way for you to implement your framework, your program. So as I said before, you're constantly asking yourself, what is it that I should be doing? Am I doing this right? Especially if you've never had this kind of holistic program within your organization. So we help with defining what that overarching framework should look like, making sure that you're doing the right things. This is what you want those dependencies to look like within the actual structure of your organization, not just the technical best practices, but how should you be running your program? How should you be setting up your centers of excellence? Where should those standards be coming from? Then we get into the governance model. So you want everyone to be coming onto the product, right? Over time, everybody gets onto ServiceNow to make sure that you have this fantastic interconnectivity of data that allows you to really get to visualize the health of your organization in a way that's never been possible before. But it's only going to happen if you can really help to get people to understand the value. And that can be a very difficult conversation to have with the rest of your organization. So we provide some information here to help you determine where you are in terms of your service maturity and where it is that you want to be, how you can get there, so you can share this information with the rest of your organization. Then we get into the 4 primary categories of governance: technical, strategic, portfolio, and convergence. And we do a little bit of a deep dive into each one. What should we be focusing on? How do we make sure that what we're doing in technical governance is going to fit cohesively with what we're doing in our convergence governance? We help you with applying your governance to support your service economy, to make sure that you're moving forward rather than just staying still. We get specific on activities that you should absolutely be completing in each of the 4 areas. And then you'll start to get into governance execution, and you'll notice we tell you exactly who you need in your organization in order for it to be able to work. Now, for smaller organizations, you may not have enough people to fill all of these roles. You may have people that are pulling double duty. Maybe they are a program manager and they are also a user experience lead. That is definitely possible. You may have them filling more than 2 roles. They may be filling 5 or 10 roles, depending on the size of your organization. But it is a great idea for you to go through the list to make sure that you've got someone associated with each of these tasks and the roles associated with them. Then we give, again, more information about what those meetings should look like that we already expanded on in the previous document. And then we talk about program alignment and making sure that it's really fitting into your organization. So as you can see, this document is 16 pages of governance power. Centers of excellence are included at the bottom, how you should be supporting it, how you should be running it, what you should be doing in terms of tasks, what roles you should have. This document is something that can really help you, whether you're a new customer or you have been a customer for a while and you're wondering, is this right? Or, it feels like maybe we're missing something. This is a great document for you to go through and say, either let's start from scratch right from this point, or, hey, we've already been doing all of this work. Let's make some adjustments to fit in with this recommended strategy. It is my goal for Champion Enablement this year for people to come for our fantastic communication templates, which we get so much feedback about. People absolutely love them. And then for them to stay for program management. this is what you need to be doing over the long term. It's wonderful if you want to introduce HR to your organization. It's wonderful if you want to put up posters, all these things that are in the other areas of Champion Enablement. But program management is where people get promoted. Program management is where you can change from being a person who works at a company that happens to be a ServiceNow customer into being a ServiceNow champion, a ServiceNow promoter, and to doing something that I'm very pleased to say that I've done myself, which is making ServiceNow my career. Not just because I joined ServiceNow, the company, but because if I was to move into another role, I would make sure that that organization was using ServiceNow or was planning to use ServiceNow so that we could really get the benefit out of strategic program management and that interconnectivity of data that is really what sets us apart from the rest of the world. So as we go through program management and as we're beefing up program management the rest of this year, keep your eye on what it is we're putting out there, because what I'm going to be focusing on throwing out are going to be pieces of content that are related to convergence governance, which we don't have a ton of right now. And I'm also going to be putting out more content that is editable. The majority of the content we have in program management right now are white papers, and they are recommendations for you to use, but there's really nothing for you to to be able to plan something out. So you'll start seeing a lot of changes in the content we put out there. An example of that is we previously had a demand and strategy worksheet template that really was just like a 7-column by 4-row Excel spreadsheet that you just filled in what it is that you were planning to do. So we've gotten very fancy with this template, and now it's something that can really actually help you not only see this is a list of the things that we're going to be doing, but how should those be prioritized? Allow you to determine an objective prioritization model and move yourself forward by saying, you know what, this is the demand that came in that scored the highest on the things that are most important to us this year. So we're going to do these ones first. So the first thing I want to show you in here is that you'll see I've put in goals and objectives and impact factors that are completely customizable. So you could say that one of your main goals for this year is to reduce time to relief, or it could be maybe to increase customer satisfaction. And then you could change this to be, instead of reduce time to relief on security P1 incidents, I could say that the best increase of customer satisfaction objectives would be improve reliability of customer satisfaction survey data. That may be the thing that's most important for me right now. Maybe the data has a tendency to become compromised. So I could change that.
Britt,
and then when I go back in.
Hey, Britt, can you zoom in just a little bit more?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. There we go. All right. Thank you, Lisa. So now I can change all of these however I would like them to be. And so now when I'm going to go and score a demand that's come in from the business or I've submitted myself, I get to choose based on what I've written in here, what's the most important to me. I can also put in the list of my portfolios. So I'm going to have a customer satisfaction portfolio. The only reason these are red is because they're letting you know that they can be replaced. You can add in stages, where you are, states for your demand. Has it been submitted? Is it waiting for someone to approve it? What's the priority? How big of a project would this be? Once it is a project, what's the state of that project? And what's the priority of that project? So now I'm going to go back to my demand scores and I'm going to say, okay, someone has created a new demand and it's for improved customer satisfaction for reliability today. And I'm going to select my portfolio as customer satisfaction. Right now it's just a demand. And that demand has been submitted, not yet approved. Based on the information that was provided, I've had my development team look at it, and they said this is going to be a large project that is very high priority. Obviously, we can put more information in here about.
Are you sharing your screen right now?
Yes.
I think it's kind of gotten fuzzy and frozen.
Let me stop sharing and then reshare. One moment.
And if we need to, we can always put a screenshot of this in the chat or on the community on the live discussion page. And if people have questions, they can post them there too.
Perfect. Can you see it now?
I'm waiting for it to refresh a little. Yes, but
perfect. We'll blame the mountains. Just right out my window and make everything worse. Do you see that it's gotten larger?
The text is still very small because you're in that big Excel spreadsheet. And we do have a question from Raghu. He wanted to know, does the team follow any agile methodology?
Does the Champion Enablement team follow any agile methodology?
I'm wondering if that's his question.
So I'm going to assume that's what you mean is does the Champion Enablement team follow agile methodology? So there are just two of us, so we have to be extremely agile in order for us to be able to get anything done. When you look at the amount of content that is out there in the Champion Enablement site, you'll see just how much it is that we're doing, plus all the Ask the Expert kinds of things, the webinars, the sales training. So yes, we have to be extremely agile. We do everything out of actually ServiceNow project management and track our progress there. We use a demand management spreadsheet, just pretty similar to this, to help us determine what it is that we should be doing next. And while there are things that come up on a one-off basis for us to have to do, as I mentioned before, I try to stick to that 80-20 rule for development, content creation, whatever it is. But we always make sure that we are following along with our own project, making sure that we're not slipping behind. I think between the two of us, we have, I want to say it's like 90 or 100 individual projects that are currently in flight. So if we were not being agile, we would never be able to get anything done. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So part of being able to be agile is being able to prioritize, and that's really why I'm going through this demand and strategy worksheet template, is because how are you supposed to know? What happens way too often is your VP comes in and they say, I need this done right now, and everybody drops everything and they do it. And that is not always the most important thing for you to have been doing. So over the years that I've worked in this kind of environment, I have learned to be able to say, okay, we would love to be able to do that. Let me go ahead and pull this up, what we already have, and you tell me if it's more, you tell me where it fits in that list, and we'll plug it in there. Generally speaking, the reason we were doing the highly prioritized projects to begin with is because they are something that executive leadership has asked for. If you're constantly having to bump everything down for a one-off situation, you're never going to be able to move forward effectively. So having something like this that you can pull out and say, hey, VP, that's a fantastic idea. Let's run through this exercise really quickly, and then we can adjust priorities there. I've never had a VP or a CXO push back and say, no, it's important because I said it's important. Generally, they understand, and once they see the list of other things that you're doing, they'll be like, you know what, you're absolutely right. It should be really like number 5. So having something like this in your back pocket is great. The last part of this is the easiest part, which is just you say, based on whatever your goals and objectives were, does this address them? So I could say, this is going to replace a legacy system, and that's a pretty big deal that it's doing that. It's definitely going to improve the reliability of our customer satisfaction survey data. That's a big one too. Is it going to prevent any P1 incidents? I don't believe so. So I'm going to say none. And then with the new project introduction, this can be really an interesting way for you to prioritize things. It's always a good idea for you to have a showcase, for you to improve customer experience, for you to put in new products and services. Anytime you can get those things done, that and the scale of that is high, you should be able to bump up the value of a project. So I'm going to put in that it's going to improve customer experience at a moderate level, because right now this is just about clean data. But the better data we have, the more we're able to adjust. So make this a little bigger, so you can see that the score of my sorry about that, of my demand here is a 76. So that means that it's a really high score, but I already had 2 on here that have higher scores. So as soon as these other 2 projects are done, I can go ahead and turn this demand into a project and get it kicked off. I go ahead and keep in the same sheet some project dates. This is especially helpful if you don't have ServiceNow's project management suite. If you are trying to track everything and you don't have any way of doing it all in one consistent place, this can be very helpful for you to say, these are the scores, this is how they relate to projects that we actually have in flight. So I put just a very simple little VLOOKUP on there that says if the demand number exactly matches a demand number from the demand score page, then it'll go over the score. So if for some reason I went ahead and got this one started right now, and neither of these had started yet, we might want to figure out why. Was there some sort of executive intervention, right? Like anytime you're not going in order of your objective prioritization model, you should take a look at why that's happening so that you can adjust going forward. In which case, if it's always executive intervention, then perhaps in your objective scoring model, you should consider an objective sponsor impact factor based on who they are, that would bump up the score a little bit higher. So this is an example. This is available out in the center. You can take advantage of it. Use it for what I've created it for here, or use it for anything you would like. It does have completely comprehensive instructions at the beginning. And it's really important for the first thing you do to fill out the 4th tab that includes how everything is going to be scored, what your portfolios are going to be, your stages, your states, priorities, etc. Make sure you do that first. And then as soon as you do that, everything else should fall into place. If you have any issues with it, you are more than welcome to reach out to me directly, or you can email champion.enablement@servicenow.com. If you find any bugs or anything that the instructions don't make sense, please let us know. This is moving in the direction of where we'd like program management to go in Champion Enablement, where you can really focus on creating pieces of content, documents like this that allow you to see and understand the health of your organization and allow you to be more strategic in your decisions about what it is that you're going to be doing next. So with that, I am finished right on time.
Great. Let's see if everybody can post more questions in the community, and we'll get back and answer them. And we look forward to having everyone join us again for our next Ask the Expert series. So make sure you the topics are.
Thank you, everyone. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.